Good morning, my geniuses. Um, I woke up sad today, and I'm sure many of us wake up sad every day as survivors of Hurricane Helene and living in a disaster zone. Um, you just don't know. Some days you're going to wake up with all the feels, and some days you wake up feeling strong and powerful and that you can tackle anything. Um, sure has something to do with what you have on your agenda that day, what you have to get done. Do you have to make another horrible phone call to another financial institution or the government or FEMA or whoever as we continue to sort out this mess? For me, extra layer of sadness today. It'll be the last day that I really work out of my office that I've had since January 1st. And I'm being displaced for a business that washed away in Swannanoa. So I try to take comfort in that they lost everything and they get to start fresh. Um, but it's still very sad. It's still very hard to lose this special space. And it was the only space in Asheville for women exclusively, women in business. And we had so much goodness going on. And we've had some amazing panels and lunch and learns and workshops and speakers and boardroom chats. And I'll tell you, nothing's like getting 6 or 8 ladies around a table around and talking about a topic. I mean, it's just a force of nature. So definitely a feeling of grieving, losing this space that has been special to me and many others. So that's heavy. And I think through this, that's another piece that's really hard. You're already kind of barely keeping it together. And if there's any extras, any, you know, losing my space before Hurricane Helene, I would have handled better, differently, whatever, than now where you just feel like the punches keep coming. And some days you feel like you're climbing out, and some days you feel like you're like sliding back down. Um, so it's a grief pit, you know. I don't know. It's very emotional. All emotions are amplified, all sensitivities are amplified. Um, all bad news feels bigger, just feels big. Everything feels big and heavy and hard. And, we have this whole polite society where we're not supposed to cry in public or show emotion, or we need to be strong. We need to focus on gratitude and hope. And all of that is true, but we also have to be allowed to feel any feelings we have. This is not a great time to stuff feelings. This is not a great time to ignore feelings. This is not a great time to act like everything's fine. So I will continue to share my reality, not to be a downer, but to make sure everybody knows how hard this freaking is. My eye's trying to twitch because it likes to twitch when I'm stressed. So Yeah. Some days you wake up sad and you just know it's going to be one of those days where you are leaking more, you're tearing up easier, you might stop and just have a full blown cry. That's what sucks for me today. It's like I don't feel like a torrential cry. I just feel like it's just on the edges. So, probably didn't help that I decided to watch the documentary released 2 weeks ago called Hurricane Helene, a love story to Appalachia. Uh, it's a crier for sure. And she wove a lot of beauty into it. But I saw images I had not seen of houses being swept away, just some areas that I hadn't seen yet. And of course, the message is, you know, the people are strong here, the mountains are strong here, the love is strong here. These Appalachian roots are strong. Like, we are very strong, we are very resilient. But that doesn't negate the pain, that doesn't just wipe it away like, okay, well, because we're strong, we can get through anything. And as she mentioned in the film, I hadn't heard this yet, to differentiate what happened here and what happened in New Orleans with Katrina, they are saying our storm was a 1,000-year flood. And they are saying Katrina is a 400-year flood. So to try to convey, quote unquote, how much worse, um, that's how they're trying to do it. Ours is 1,000 years and theirs was 400. Doesn't matter really. What matters is that climate reality is here. She says, get your house in order. And it's really good advice for everyone because we were supposed to be a haven, a safe place. The mountains protect us. We're so far inland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, she even lays out how literally no one was told to evacuate. Like us, I shouldn't say literally, almost no one was told to evacuate. Almost no one got any kind of message like you should evacuate. She watches this one particular storm chaser, and I think the day before in his live chat, somebody asked if he was in Appalachia, would he evacuate? And his answer was heck yes. So sure, there was some predictions. There were some people that, kind of predicted the worst, and they were right. But overall, we went to sleep and we woke up to a new reality. Some people were already underwater when they woke up and maybe never woke up again. Um, some of us were completely untouched. Our homes were completely untouched. We just didn't have power, and we had no idea. For me, until I went to the bridge by New Belgium and looked at the River Arts District, that's when I first knew how bad it was. So, speaking of New Orleans, I wanted to share some words. Oh, great. It's not here anymore. Well, there was somebody from New Orleans who shared a beautiful post about what we can expect and what we're going through. And it really nailed how I was feeling. Might not be able to find it. So basically telling us that we're not going to feel normal for years. We're not going to, none of it makes sense. Um, we, we feel very alone. We feel isolated, and yet we feel more connected because we've met neighbors we've never met. We've, worked alongside volunteers that we didn't know. And um, it's, there's so much beauty and so much pain. It's just, you see the beautiful fall blue sky and the leaves, and you feel so lucky. And then you drive past a road that's washed out. It's so up and down and around, and makes you feel really messy, makes you feel really unsure, makes you feel really um, unstable and unsafe, right? Like this safe haven for so many. I mean, we've got people from all over the world that live here, that choose to live here because of our nature and our beauty. And yes, partially we were supposed to be a safe place for climate change. Um, and that's obviously been thrown right out the window. So we're all in it together. The reality of these storms, the reality of that no one is safe, the reality that we need our leaders to focus on this as the number one threat to American life, to life, period. Get so wrapped up in war and ugliness. And our biggest enemy is what the power of Mother Nature. And I don't think of Mother Nature as an enemy, but in this scenario, Mother Nature won. Mother Nature kicked our butts. Uh, and we need our government, our military, to protect us from arguably the greatest threat to human life. So, thank you for anyone that has experienced Katrina or 9/11 or any of these tragedies that shares kind of their healing journey and shares the reality of what we're facing, and comforts us that whatever we're feeling, whatever we're going through, whatever struggles we're facing, it's okay. And check your judgment at the door for yourself. We've got to be so gentle and so kind to ourselves, because we don't know what we're doing, really. We don't know how to recover from this. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of guidance, quite frankly. You're supposed to figure it out. And there's so many ways that people are helping, and there's grants and there's loans and there's all kinds of things, but none of it's easy. None of it's easy. It feels like endless jumping through hoops. And the future feels so unclear. Day by day feels so unclear. Trying to think through 2025, trying to think through business, trying to think through anything is just, it's really hard to think clear. It's really, really hard to stay focused. It's really hard to stay calm. It's really hard to keep the nervous system regulated. And Oh, good. I found it. Okay. So, all I can tell you is my own experience. The first few days, weeks are mostly shock. Everything you were worried about 2 days ago is now completely irrelevant. The shock may come and go, feeling like a zombie, disassociating, thinking you're totally fine, and then immediately wondering what's wrong with you. Being furious at people near and far, short tempers. Even if you are an otherwise gentle person, you might find yourself saying very unkind things. Your nervous system takes over. Your trauma response is revealing itself. For me, I went into work mode. I had to be at the center of everything. I was back in the city before we were technically allowed. I basically never stopped working, although my job was far from first responding. This happened again during Ida. I was evacuated for 10 days and spent hours every day gathering and distributing info, working with a mutual aid group. In 3 weeks, you will see the first working stoplight and you will get misty eyed. You will be grateful for everything. Emotion will overwhelm you and everyone you know at any moment, and everyone will understand. For the next year, every time you see someone for the first time, you'll give them a huge bear hug and ask, "How'd you do? Where'd you go?" It will not be normal for a long time, years. Your life will be forever measured in before and after. Every conversation will be about Helene until you're tired of hearing the word. You'll be desperate to talk about anything else. At some point, you'll realize a whole day went by without mentioning her. It's simultaneous relief and frustration. Survivor's guilt is real. You will compare your losses and always think, but they had it worse. You will share an unspoken bond with people who lived through it. 20 years from now, when you meet someone who lives in WNC, it will be like meeting family. You will share stories because the people who weren't there just cannot understand. There is no right thing to do right now. If you have to get out, get out. If you cannot bear to leave, don't. If you need help, reach out. Take all the help you can get. File for FEMA. Take disaster food stamps. Let people send you care packages. It really is as horrible as you think, but you cannot bear it all at once. Just keep going, one day, some days, one breath at a time. So, yeah, that encapsulates a lot of the constant emotional roller coaster. Some days are better than others. Whew. And lastly, I'm just saying this out loud for myself, and I'm sure other people are in the same boat. As far as eating, you know, a lot of these packaged foods, these easy to make foods, I mean, for me, I feel like all the sodium coursing through my body because some days are just too lazy. You're just too exhausted and overwhelmed to cook, and then dishes, and then clean up after. It's like, no, thank you. I'm going to heat up some canned chicken noodle soup. But a lot of these canned foods and these packaged meals and a lot of these even donations that people send, uh, these are not the best nutritionists, most nutritional, whatever word I'm trying to say. These are not, you're not getting enough veggies. Is at least how I feel. My veggie intake is pathetic right now. I'm at least trying to like get cans of veggies so I can like dump it in my ramen. Um, but just a reminder to all of you and myself included, like we got to try to eat healthier and get more vegetables and fruit. And um, as tempting as it is to just keep eating out of cans and boxes and these packaged things, I mean, I know for me, got to focus on healthier eating and more nutritious, more vegetables. So if you're in that boat too, don't feel bad. I'm right there with you. Okay, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to go enjoy my office for the last day that's going to be basically as it was. And I hope to see some of you tomorrow at our free workshop. Just did an Instagram live with Emmy Kubata, who is doing the financial scenario planning workshop tomorrow, Thursday, November 14th, from 12:30 to 3:30. And we have the lovely Jennifer King that has stepped up as our lunch sponsor. And she is representing her bank, First Commonwealth Bank. She is a senior business development officer that focuses on SBA loans. So she's amazing. Emmy's amazing. Looking forward to tomorrow being a very good day. I'm sure it'll be heavy because we're having our goodbye toast after the workshop to the space. And my heart's just aching because I know firsthand the power of a women's only space for women in business to come together, collaborate, share, learn, grow. It's really, really powerful. It's not about excluding, it's about uplifting and supporting in the unique ways that women do that for each other. So, um, definitely feeling the loss, but there's all kinds of ways we will continue. So, it'll just look different and won't have a dedicated home. We'll be popping all over the place and being more mobile. So, thanks, y'all. Have a good day. Talk to you soon.